Hello and welcome to GoonerGathering. We're actually doing this video today this time. My name is Posh Bertie, the poshest man in all of sports entertainment. And joining me in this Arsenal end of season awards is the man himself, Mr. Sam Wilson. How are you today?
Yeah, I'm okay. Apart from one blocked ear, I'm all good.
We
Feels
definitely
a long
didn't have
time.
this conversation about 5 minutes ago, but yeah.
It feels a long time. I don't know if it's just me since the end of the season. It seems like a fair while, even though it's only a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. I suppose I think it's gonna go quite quick. I'm trying to get used to the break while it lasts, so we can go back to watching the Arsenal again. Whether it's for better or for worse, I don't know. But we're gonna focus on this season now, and I sent well, actually, we're going to do a bit of housekeeping first. There's a few things I need to address. As you know, my usual colleague, the founding father of GoonerGathering, Mr. Lee Meadows, isn't here today, as is why Sam Wilson is here. He has given us an official statement here. He says, "Hi gang, sorry I can't be there tonight. Just wanted to say how grateful I am to all of the team for making GoonerGathering the success it is, and to everyone who has watched our videos and subscribed. Thanks everyone, from Lee." Now to explain, Lee has tested positive for COVID, sadly. We hope that he gets well soon, and we are going to steady the ship in his absence. And also, it wouldn't be a Lee Meadows tribute. Well, I say he's still alive, obviously, but he's under the weather at the moment. But in paying respect to him, it is my duty to say that this video is sponsored by Retro Football Management. Download it on the App Store. Lee plays it. He's managing Arsenal, and he signed Wilfred Zaha. So you could do anything with that. There you go. Download the app.
I
Raid
think
Shadow
I,
Legends, etc.
I
Sorry.
think you signed De Bruyne on it. To be fair, on mine.
Oh, excellent. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay. I need to get onto it. I mean, of course, I have it. I'm obliged to have it. I'll definitely play it at some point. Anyway, let's move on now. So, Arsenal's season had a lot of ups and downs. It's fair to say, lots of great ups and a lot of bottle-shaped downs. But we're going to reflect on it by our end of season awards. Our categories are the player of the season, the worst player of the season. That's the bad award. No one wants to have that. The signing of the season, the unsung hero unsung hero or most underrated player, I think I had. Most improved player, game of the season, and the moment of the season. Good evening, Arsenal forever. Thank you for joining us. So, we'll go on to the first category, the player of the season. We're going to say who we've got, and we're going to give our reason for it. I have gone for the star boy himself, Mr. Bukayo Saka. What about you? Who have you gone for?
See, that's the obvious one, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
go with Odegaard. I tried to not be
yeah.
obvious.
It was a toss up between Saka and Odegaard for me as well, but I went for Saka because we'll go with your reason why you've got Odegaard, but I'm the host. I go first and everything. But yeah, I'm in charge here. But I went for. Thank you for the link, Lee. He's in the chat, making sure we behave ourselves. But I went for Saka because I'm one of his biggest supporters. I do think he's been good, and this season, yes, he did kind of have a bit of a fall off. At the tail end of the season, but then again, who didn't? And I do think that, yes, Saliba's a good option as well, Arsenal forever. But I think you look at early on in the season, I think he was definitely a danger on the wings. And some people were saying that he was one of the best wingers. But back in January and February, some people were saying he was one of the best wingers in the world at that time. And he was, for most of this season, a world-class player. And I just, yeah. Anyway, why did you go for Odegaard?
Um, just for consistently most of the games that he played being good. There wasn't many games that he was kind of in that he had a bad game. So I think that's why I went for him as player of the season. Obviously, his goals as well. I think it was like the top scoring midfielder for goals, wasn't it, or something this season?
Yeah, I think it was. He got 15 goals in one season, which for a midfielder, that's very decent. I think another midfielder to do that was Frank Lampard back when he was actually good at Chelsea as a player. But yeah, Odegaard, 15 goals in one season. That's a good contender. Good reason why he gets your Player of the Season award. I, of course, went for Saka. Saliba is a very good option as well, and I do think that when he got injured, that began our little descend into second place. So Saliba's a good shout as well. Arsenal forever. Moving on now to, as with all the pros, there does come some cons. The worst player of the season, and the winner of that gets this bottle-shaped prize here. Fentiman's Curiosity Cola. There you go. Which, as I call it, Coca-Cola's grumpy cousin. So, the worst player of the season. I'm going to let you go first here because I kind of cheated a little bit, and I'll explain why soon. But what did you go for?
So I found this quite hard because there wasn't really many that you could kind of choose from. So
There's one obvious one, I think.
I just went for completely obvious and my lookalike in Fabio Vieira.
Oh, I thought you were going to go for Rob Holding. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, Fabio Vieira. He started off with so much potential. Did he come off the bench or did he start against Brentford? I'm not sure. And he scored that thunderbolt of a goal. And we all thought, oh, this is very promising. He seems like quite a promising player. And then it just fell off. And when he started against Southampton, he was one of the weak links, and it wasn't, that goal against Brentford was good, but then it just fell off afterwards. And what's your reasoning?
Just every time he's played, he's been pretty naff. To be honest, I don't think there's a better explanation than that. That he's just been pretty dire.
You might not want to be associated. You might want to shave your beard off or something. You might not want to get associated. No, don't do that. You'll lose all the. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, good reasoning, but I kind of cheated a little bit. The winner or winners for worst players of the season was the entire team when it mattered. So essentially, the entire team, maybe apart from a select few in April, because that was what started our descent into second place. What started some are calling it a bottle job, including me. I don't know why it's even a debate. It was a bit of a bottle job, in my opinion. But yeah, I think our most experienced players, the likes of Partey, didn't turn up in the games against Southampton and Man City since he gave that ball away to Declan Rice for West Ham. He's not an Arsenal player yet, Thomas. I probably shouldn't say that, but since he gave that ball away against West Ham, actually no, I think since he got that injury in February and he came back, he wasn't the same. He wasn't the same since, in my opinion. But if he stays with us next season, which I think he will, hopefully he improves. And but it's not just Partey I'm talking about. I'm talking about, and this is just in April. I'm not saying the whole season because he was fantastic overall. But I'm the entire team in April when it mattered against West Ham and Southampton. They get the flop of the season awards. And a few comments here. Arsenal, for said that Saka has been ranked as the third most valuable player by estimated transfer value. So there we go. That's something. Behind Vinicius Junior, who a lot of comparisons were. Personally, I think Vinicius Junior might edge it as the better player. Actually, I think he is the better player. Oh no, Saka's the third most valuable player. Yeah, he's behind Vinicius Junior. Yeah, and of course Erling Haaland. No surprise there. GoonerGathering says at least Holding had some minutes. Vieira needs a season loan somewhere. That is right. I would loan Vieira next season. Do you think that's a good option, or would you just get rid of him completely?
No, I would loan him. I think there's potentially a good player there. He's just not ready for the Premier League.
Yeah, we need to keep the Vieira name strong. You know, we Fabio's letting us down a bit there. Vieira needs to spend the whole summer in the gym. Yeah, I mean, you know, I apologize for talking about me again, but I did an Instagram post. I think was it Arsenal or a certain big Arsenal YouTube channel that we can't mention? No, AFTV, I think it was, who posted, oh, it's Fabio Vieira's birthday today. Happy birthday. And I commented, happy birthday, Fabio. Please get some dumbbells and some protein shakes for you as presents. And it got quite a decent number of likes. So, yeah, that's my hit. That's my claim to fame there. But no, Vieira does look a bit thin, and he does need to spend the whole summer in the gym. But that's a bit rich coming from me, who is... But yeah, I think he needs to bulk up a little bit. He needs to bulk up, brother. He needs Ico Pro. That's what he needs. Ico Pro. You gotta want it. Moving swiftly on to the... thank you, Arsenal Forever, saying get well soon to Lee. Here, here. Moving on to the signing of the season. So... obviously, that includes both January and in the summer. I have gone for Leandro Trossard. What about you, Samuel? Sam Wilson,
Yeah,
I should say.
I've got exactly the same. I looked down
Okay.
all the transfers, and that was the only one that kind of really jumped out. Because I think if we'd have had more chance to have Jesus play, then he would have potentially been there. But I had to factor in that we haven't really seen him play that much.
Yeah, a lot of you mentioned Jesus. A lot of fans as well, but also opposition fans are saying, "Oh, he didn't get you enough goals." He's all right. You're forgetting that he did get injured for a lot of the second half of I should say last season now. Second half of the season just gone. He got injured in the World Cup. So I think if he didn't get injured, who knows where he'd be? I think he would have scored a few more goals for us. But I went for Trossard simply because when he signed for us in January, and when he got that couple of runs, I think, yeah, he actually did very well. I think it took about 2 or 3 games for him to get his first goal against Brentford. And I think when he's come off the bench, he really changed the game. Yeah, I think he should have started more. Don't get me wrong, Martinelli's good, but I think maybe if Trossard got a few more minutes and he used some of that creativity that he has, I think we could have been in a different position. Who knows? What say you? Why did you go for Trossard?
Just his goals and his
Yeah.
work rate, I think, and the amount that every time he came on, he put his all into it, and you could see that. So I think that's why I went with him, just because it gave us options off the bench when we didn't have any really.
Yeah, fair enough. I was tempted to go for Zinchenko, but then he spread his invertedness across the pitch, which is a bit of a controversial topic. What are your thoughts on Zinchenko? Play. What are your thoughts on this inverted stuff? Because Lee doesn't get it. It irks me a little bit, but
I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I'm not quite sure if I fully understand it or even somewhat get it. But it just looks like it needs a lot of work, and we don't really have the time to try something that needs a lot of work.
Or keep Kieran Tierney and play Zinchenko in midfield. They talk about wanting to revitalise their midfield. I think Zinchenko would suit. Would he suit Xhaka's position now? I don't know. I don't know. But where would Smith Rowe be if that's where he's trying to go? I don't.
You've still got to be able to defend in Xhaka's position, and he can't defend.
Yeah, and he's more of a defensive midfielder, I think, maybe. But then again, he's not. That's a story for another day. Arsenal Forever also says Trossard for signing of the season. Lee says, just to be different, how about Gabriel Magalhaes after signing his new contract? Well, that's not really what we mean by signing, but we'll let you off for that because you're very poorly. And Arsenal Forever says, Arteta needs to stop this inverted nonsense. It does leave a bit of gaps in our defence. And when you're playing teams like Man City, that doesn't really work that much when you've got a Grealish just going, having some fun on the left there. So we're going to go for the most improved player. Someone who Alexis McAllister would be the ideal player for Xhaka. Yeah, but he's going to Liverpool. I think the medical's happening, so that isn't happening. But who knows what's going to happen there? Hopefully, we do get to bolster our midfield a bit. But we're our most improved player. Someone who last season or the past few seasons didn't set the world on fire or wasn't your cup of tea, but in your opinion, this season has managed to progress well. And it's funny that we talked about this particular individual because I've gone for him. The most improved player is Granit Xhaka. What have you gone for?
See, I just thought of someone that not necessarily most improved. I just put Saka there because of how much he'd stepped up a level this season to last season. It almost seems like we got a completely different form of him this season almost. So I didn't go for as improved because I couldn't really pick out one massively. So I just went with Saka just because of how much he'd come on this season.
No, fair enough. I do think that was this has been the season where people have started conversations about how world class Saka is and just how brilliant of a player that he can be and how brilliant of a player he is now. So I think you do have a point there, but I went for Granit Xhaka because considering last season and even the pretty much all of his seasons at Arsenal have not exactly been great. And you may remember one of the first things I saw when I was introduced to you all was a message saying this chat is a Xhaka-free zone. And I said, oh, I'm in there. Excellent. But I'm just going to turn my light on for a minute because it's getting a bit dark in my room. There we go. But I went for Xhaka because compared with the last few seasons, he's actually done really well. And I will give Arteta credit here because he found a good position for Xhaka, which was a box-to-box midfielder, and he's flourished in there. And this has definitely been his best season in an Arsenal shirt. And, you know, I've been critical on him in the past, as has a lot of fans, to be honest. But I have to give him credit where it's due. This season, he's overall, he's been very good. And GoonerGathering says, thanks, Xhaka. There's the door. Yeah, you've had your best season. Bugger off. But no, I think a lot of people are saying, you know, 6 of his 7 seasons weren't exactly great. And of course, let's not forget the bad taste in the mouth of that incident against Crystal Palace. But yeah, I think maybe it is time for him to move on. And if we can get a better midfielder, which there are many better midfielders, I think that would be good. Arsenal, for instance, Saka's been carrying Arsenal for about 3 years. I think this season it's a bit harsh. I think there are some players that I think can be that have been on a good level, but the past few years I do agree with you there. One good season out of 7 is not good enough. Yeah, I do understand. I do understand where you're coming from. Yeah. But who knows? Maybe he could have in the box midfielder role. He could have been good. He was good this season, but if he stayed on next season and he played that role, who knows? But I do agree with you. I think it is time to move on. Also, is Xhaka. I think he's the last player in that squad from the Wenger days. So I think that is the end of an era. Anyway, you went for Saka. I went for Xhaka. Yeah, that's fair enough. So next up is the unsung hero, or I think that's also an underrated player. I went unsung hero, basically someone who has not got who you thought has played well, but hasn't got as much credit as the likes of Saka, as you said, and Martinelli, Odegaard, all these players. Someone who doesn't get enough credit. It's a toss-up between two. And I think I know who I was going to go for, but I might go off script, brother. I might change my mind. Who have you gone for?
Gabriel.
Which Gabriel? The defender, or?
Yes, the defender, Gabriel.
Oh, okay. I blame Wenger for buying Xhaka instead of Kante. Probably. But yeah. But I was going to go for Jorginho, but now I'm thinking about Ben White, because since he got placed, he's a better right back than he is a centre back, definitely. And I think he's done very well at right back. But I am going to go for Jorginho simply because he proved a lot of Arsenal fans wrong. And when I say that, I mean, when we signed Jorginho, some fans, including me, thought that was a bit of an odd signing. I thought we could have got a better player. I thought, oh, once again, Chelsea cast off FC. We strike again. He's in his 30s. I think he's not the player he once was. But I think in a lot of the games, maybe apart from the Brighton game, in a lot of the games he played, and when he came off the bench even, I think he's done very well in midfield for us. He brings, and I said this when Partey was injured, what Jorginho lacks in pace, he makes up for in composure and vision. He brings a lot of calmness in the midfield, good composure, picks out some good passes, and he controls the game well for us. And case in point, I think the match against Man City when we lost 3-1, he was one of the few players that actually tried in that game, and I gave him a lot of credit for that. Even against Aston Villa, even though you could tell our midfield was a lot slower in that game at Villa Park, I think Jorginho tried his best to calm everything down and make us more controlled. And he did technically score in that match, but that was ruled as an own goal off one Emiliano Martinez. I love mentioning that. But I think Jorginho has done very well. He brought a lot of control to the midfield. But GoonerGathering is going to vote for Ben White. Actually, what have you made? Actually, no. Let's not talk about my choices. Why did you go for one Gabriel?
I think he's just been one of, again, the consistent players that hasn't really got. He's been there pretty much every game, like Saka has, and I don't think he's got enough credit for still being good, regardless of who's alongside him. You don't often hear or he's mentioned at all, really. But yeah, so that's why I went with him, because nobody really talks about him. He just gets on with his business and nobody really kind of commends that as much.
Yeah, and I think him and Saliba were a very good partnership, and I think you could tell how good Gabriel is as a defender when Saliba isn't here. He's one of the. I think he tries to. Yeah, Gabriel, I think has been very good. Definitely an unsung hero for Arsenal. He doesn't get enough praise. I completely agree with you there. Well, actually, I mentioned Jorginho. I want to know what were your thoughts on Jorginho this season, though. I do want to know that.
I think he surprised a lot of people. I
Hmm.
think, like many of us were kind of underwhelmed and kind of not that happy when we signed him. But I think
Hmm.
he's proved a lot of us wrong in terms of the
Hmm.
player that he actually is.
Yeah.
And it's actually probably worked. So
Yeah. I think I'd keep him for next season. I think
yeah, I think he's a good player to have in your squad for
as
sure.
a good backup, maybe if we get better midfield, if we do get someone like Declan Rice or Caicedo or someone like that, he'd be a good. It would be a good backup for our midfield to maybe come on and just control the game for the last few minutes. Ben White is also a good shout, as GoonerGathering says. He's a better. Do you think he's a better right back than he is a centre back?
Um, I think that's a tough one. I don't think we saw an awful lot of him at centre back really before he got shifted to right back.
Last season he was centre back. No, 2 seasons ago, I should say. In his
Yeah,
first season for us.
his first season it was okay, but we've predominantly seen him at right back more than we have centre back.
Yeah, and I think that's his best
Um,
position, in my opinion.
yeah, so I think it's hard to judge that, not for us not seeing him at centre back that long, if that makes sense.
Arsenal Forever says he'd love Hakimi at Arsenal. I think we all would. He's one of the best right backs out there. I don't think we're linked with him though. Sadly, we are linked with who's that right back from Galatasaray? Sasha Bowie. So I don't know much about him, but we're apparently actually going to meet with them for talks soon. So, well, we'll see what one Edu does there, if he actually gets his checkbook out or not. Anyway, so I believe we're on the penultimate award, which is the game of the season. Which Arsenal match? The game, which Arsenal match was always the good one for? I can't speak proper English. Which Arsenal match was the game of the season? I have gone for Arsenal 3, Man United 2. What about you? What did you go for?
I've picked exactly the same game because that's the game that sticks out. It's the game when I look back on that season and the game that I remember, if that makes sense. I don't really, yeah. So I think that's my game of the season because it's the one that I remember.
Absolutely, and the game itself it reminded me of like an old school Wenger versus Fergie kind of game, that because the way they played and the goal fest and everything, lots of drama. It was really entertaining game to watch, and we watched it on this here YouTube channel. Sounds like a character from Ali G. Sasha Baron Cohen. Okay, I thought you said that I sounded like a character from Ali G. No, I'm more like Richard Madeley doing an impression of him. If you know, you know. But I think the game against Man United definitely is a good shout, and it reminded me of an old school match between the two, with all the goals and everything. And yeah, Saka of course scored that thunderbolt of a goal. Nketiah got 2. And I think that was when a few people got carried away doing that song about him. And since then, he hasn't scored since. So yeah, that was fun. But no, I think Rashford opened the scoreline for United, and what's his name? Lisandro Martinez got a headed goal. The shortest player on the pitch scored a header. That was fun. But excellent. It was an excellent game. It looked like it was going to end 2-2, but Nketiah, last minute winner, and the celebrations on this channel, along with many other people watching it as well, was fantastic. And say what you want about Nketiah, but he was responsible for the most iconic moment in GoonerGathering history. So I'm grateful to him for that. Anyway, your reasoning for Arsenal United, I presume just the drama of it all?
Yeah, the drama of it all, much like you've already said, it was like a Man United watching an Arsenal Man United from like old and stuff.
Mm.
And yeah, it was just a great game of football.
Yeah. And on the topic of Nketiah, what are your thoughts on him? Would you get rid of him this season, or loan him out, or would you keep him in the squad?
I think I would get rid of him.
Yeah. I would get rid of him and keep Balogun.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Bring Balogun back in and then get as much money as you possibly can for Nketiah, because he's never going to be at the level start for us. So, yeah, that's what
it's always great beating Man United. It was even better winning the Premier League title at Old Trafford. Those are the days. History is all we have. Got a couple of FA Cups though in the past few years, but you know, no trophy in 3 years. Hopefully next season will be our year. But yeah, I that game you're talking about at Old Trafford, I remember I don't remember it because I was 1 year old at the time, so I didn't remember it live, but I do know of it. Sylvain Wiltord, yeah, very, very good. And I will say it was, on the topic of Arsenal versus Man United, it was an Arsenal versus United fixture at the Emirates that got me into football. If you remember, we were 1-0 down and Thierry Henry scored the winner. That was the match that got me into football, and I've never looked back since. But yeah, that might have been the first Arsenal United game at the Emirates, I think. Anyway, so we both gone for the same, which is all good. And now the moment of the season. Not a game, but the moment. Balogun deserves his chances at Arsenal next season. Yeah, I mean, look what Saliba did in the French league when, as a defender there. He actually did very well, and Balogun's doing the same, and I think he deserves a chance. Anyway, moment of the season, a specific moment, not just a game, but a specific moment that warmed the cockles in your heart. I think. Oh, go on.
I've copped out and done the Eddie Nketiah goal to make it 3-2 because I couldn't think of anything else.
I've gone for Reece Nelson's last-minute winner against Bournemouth.
Yeah, that's also a good shout.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't. It wasn't quite the same for me because I was at a game of football when it happened, so it was just kind of on my phone, so it didn't have the same. But I imagine if you was in the ground, that would have been unbelievable.
Yeah. So you were at I was. Were you watching Lincoln City at that time?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I was watching Ebbsfleet United. I can't remember who it was against. Can't remember if we won or not. I think we did, but I can't remember. But that's not important. And I remember it vividly. The Ebbsfleet game didn't even kick off, and I get a BBC Sport notification on my phone. Goal, Arsenal 0, Bournemouth 1, after 1 minute. And the game I was watching in person didn't even kick off. And I thought, oh, for God's sake. That's what I thought. You know, I had a vision of Ramsdale passing it to the player like Southampton, but it wasn't like that. I think Bournemouth just attacked from the off. But I messaged our little group chat saying, if this stays like this, I don't care if I watched it. I'm just going to do a little rant saying, how are we losing to Bournemouth when we're meant to be winning the league? And then we were 2-0 down. And I got even more angry. And I was, there was a football game in front of me, and I was getting all these texts from the group chat saying, we've got one back. It's 2-2. And I was like, oh, watching one thing and watching the other. And then the Ebbsfleet game finished, I was just walking back, and then I heard someone behind me talking to his mate saying, oh my God, Arsenal, it's 3-2. And I was like, what? And he said, yeah, it's Reece Nelson. And I was like, what is going on? This club's going to kill me one day. And yeah, that was how I knew about Reece Nelson's last-minute winner. And Do you know what? Let me find that voice message from you, Mr. Meadows. So, oh no, I didn't. When it was 3-2, the WhatsApp group was kicking off. I was walking back from the Fleet game, and I heard the news from some stranger that I've never even met, and this is what Goonerlee Meads messaged me afterwards when the goal was scored.
Never in doubt.
Never in doubt, he said. Just casually said that, and I thought that was very hilarious. But yeah, and Nelson won the Game Changer of the Season award for this game. Yeah, and he deserves that. It was a brilliant goal as well. First touch, kind of outside the box, easily found the net, and the last kick of the game that Bournemouth game was just incredible. Going from me being everyone being absolutely angry to just absolutely jubilant, and that's when people thought that this was the game that and at the time, people thought, oh, this is the game that could be the potential title winner. And obviously,
if only we knew.
Yeah. Yes, I know these moments were for nothing, but it was a good moment at the time. We were all happy. And I can imagine doing it if we did a watch along of that, like live at the time. Assist for White's goal as well. Oh, and it was 2-2. Okay, yeah. Reece Nelson's another player that's a bit of a funny one. There were talks about him potentially leaving the club, but he's going to potentially sign a new 4-year contract. Would you keep Reece Nelson for next season?
Yeah, I think if we can, I would, because it gives us a brilliant option off the bench, I think.
Arsenal Forever says, talks progressing positively over Saliba new deal. We've got to get him to sign the ting in it, fam, whatever. But yeah, absolutely. Saliba is one of our best players. He has been our best defender, and he must sign the contract for us. I know that PSG will offer an insane amount of money, but there have been reports of him saying he wants to commit his future to Arsenal. Who knows what may happen? He needs to sign that contract. He's a very good player. He's, as we've seen when he gets injured, when one cog falls out of the machine starts to malfunction. Is that the word I'm looking for? Probably. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that is it, I think, unless I'm missing out any. That is those were our little awards for the Arsenal moments and Arsenal players. Yeah, it was. So, what were your thoughts in general of this season? I know that there's a bad bottle jobbing taste in the mouth, but what were your thoughts overall? It's a weird one, isn't it?
Disappointment.
How would you rate it out of 10?
Maybe 6.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
Based on just because there's progress, basically, not because of anything else other than I've actually seen progress, which is the thing that, sticks with me, I guess.
I think I give it a 6, but there were good moments, obviously, especially in the league, but the last run, obviously in April, and the cup competitions, we were not so good at. Arsenal Forever says, what would you give Arteta this season? Oh. Yes, Arteta's a very sensitive topic in the Arsenal community. Oh God. He managed to get Xhaka in a good position this season. His moving to White at right back was good. His arrogance, his urge to play inverted football is annoying me a little bit. He made a lot of Arsenal fans believe for most of this season and made us united for most of this season, apart from the end. But again, the cup competition run and the run from April onwards is a bit. I would give him I'd give Arteta a 6 as well. What say
Yeah,
you, Sam?
that's what I was going to say. To say exactly the same, like a 6.
It's because I was critical of Arteta, before this season, and I think he has done enough to stay on in terms of where we've been in the league. It's showing progress, but for me, the expectations for next season are a proper title challenge and a domestic cup. I would take us finishing third, providing we win a domestic cup. What do you think?
I don't know really. I think we've got to just take from this season and just do as best as we can again next season. We've just got to try and push Man City that little bit further, I guess. We've kind of shown this season what we can do. It's just getting it over the line that we struggle with.
Yeah, I do agree with you there. I think it is, as a lot of people are saying, the where we were in the league this season was it's something to build on, as they say. It's and I just hope that we get the right players we need. Please, Edu, please. But well, again, it's a we'll see scenario. Yeah, that's all I've got to add on this. Have you got anything else to say?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, well, that was our video. We'll come up to the end here. I don't know if Mr. Meadows, who's in the gorilla position, wants us to say anything more. Is he going to dismiss us? I don't know. But while we're doing that, these are our social media handles. You can follow me on Twitter at PoshBertie and Instagram at BertieWanless. Sam, would you like to? Where can they find you?
Yeah. So Instagram Sam Wilson AFC, and then on Twitter Sam Wilson with the 1 in the space of the I of Wilson.
And we'll end on this comment from Arsenal Forever saying, Arsenal never want to get into a bidding war. Cowards. No wonder they get bullied in the transfer market. Edu likes to keep his good relations in, doesn't he? You know, good relations with Brighton, good relations with West Ham. Just be lethal, for God's sake. Just, we're meant to be title challengers now. Get Declan Rice. Get Caicedo. We're a rich club. And I hope we do get at least one of those players, because we need to look bolstered. We need to look good next season. And GoonerGathering says, thanks for being here, everyone. You're very welcome. Right, well, that's about it. We've done our social medias, and providing Lee gets better, we will hopefully be doing an awards thing similar to this, but it's the GoonerGathering Awards, where we do stuff like obscure reference of the year and TikTok clip of the year and some other silly categories that we'll do. Thank you very much, Arsenal Forever, and it's always great to have you here. We'll let you know when we're going to get some more content out there. Until next time, take care, and we will see you next